Senator McKim.
Well, thank you very much, Mr President. I start by acknowledging the First People of this land, the Ngunnawal and Ngambri people. I acknowledge and pay my deepest respect to their elders, past, present and future. I also acknowledge that adequate reparations have not yet been made for the wrongs that Australia's original inhabitants have suffered since European invasion. I look forward to the day where there is a treaty between Australia's First People and those who displaced them from their land. I was born in England, moved from London to Tasmania with my family when I was 5 years old, and I'd like to sincerely thank my parents who are here today for that, the best decision they could have made for their family. And I have been lucky to have the privilege of being a member of the Tasmanian Parliament for 13 years, leading the Tasmanian Greens for 6 of those years, serving as a Minister of the Crown in the Tasmanian Government, and now rising to make this my inaugural speech in the Australian Senate. The Australian people are completely over being treated with a lack of respect, being taken for granted by so many of their political representatives. They're sick of the sniping and negativity that characterises so much of what passes for political debate in this country and, at times, in this parliament. Thanks, guys. I'll give it everything I've got to do you all proud.
Senator Nampijinpa Price.
Thank you, Acting President. Today is National Flag Day. Australia's first Prime Minister, Edmund Barton, announced a competition to design our federal flag on 29th of April 1901. Despite only 32 days to submit designs, more than 32,000 entries were received. 5 entrants who submitted similar designs were declared equal winners and shared in the £200 prize. On the 3rd of September 1901, our national flag was first flown over the dome of Melbourne's Exhibition Building, the site of our first Commonwealth Parliament. The Brisbane Courier captured the sentiment of that moment, stating, "Nationhood is better for the concrete expression, and nothing will stir up enthusiasm or rouse the sense of regard for the country in which we live like a constant sight of the flag of Australia." So what of our national flag's symbols? There's the constellation of 5 stars, the Southern Cross, a reminder of our unique place in the world and the common geography Australians share. My elders from a tiny community near Tennant Creek have spoken about how the Southern Cross is part of dreaming, or chukurupa. So, contrary to the views of activists, Indigenous Australians certainly are represented by our national flag. There's the Union Jack, a reminder of our British heritage and the Christian ethos that forged a modern nation. And there's the 7-pointed Commonwealth or Federation Star, 6 points for our 6 states and a 7th point for our territories, a reminder of our unity. Together, these symbols remind us of our nation's history and the contributions of generations of Australians, of the Indigenous Australians who knew and cared for the land. When we look at our flag, we remember our history in the round. Yes, we remember the dark chapters, like the mistreatment of Indigenous Australians and returned Vietnam veterans. But we also recognise that our achievements and successes far outweigh our wrongdoings and failures. Australia was formed without civil war or the level of bloodshed most other countries have known. We haven't experienced the enduring enmities of difference or separatism that have beset other nations. A defining national achievement has been the weaving together of Indigenous, British and broader migrant threads of our story. Each bestows an inheritance. Today, we Australians naturally have many differences. Despite these differences, our flag reminds us that we're united by our common values. We're aspirational, egalitarian and compassionate. We believe in reward for hard work. We treasure individual freedom. We respect the rule of law. We want our nation to be defended. We have a sense of duty to those we love, to our families, to our communities and to our nation. Our national flag represents so much. Our history, story, geography, resources, people, mateship, deeds, sacrifices, institutions, traditions, values, unity, loyalty and patriotism. Our national flag signifies our common citizenship and fellowship that makes strangers acquaintances. Our national flag is for times of celebration and times of commemoration. And as historian Geoffrey Blaney said, our national flag links the living and the dead. When one appreciates our national flag symbolism, it's impossible to not have a sense of gratitude. Gratitude for the fortune to live in this great southern land. Gratitude for our forebears and all they did to protect this country and ensure it prospers. With gratitude comes something more important, a sense of responsibility. Our national flag reminds us that we are the custodians of a remarkable legacy. We have a duty to hand over to the next generation a country better than the one we inherited. Our national flag reminds us of the duty of responsible citizenship, doing something that's bigger than ourselves. For example, raising a family, contributing to one's community, working hard in a chosen field, or serving the nation in some capacity. When one understands the history behind our national flag, when one values its symbolic weight, it's beyond comprehension that the burning of our national flag is not a criminal offence. Like most Australians, I was appalled by the footage of pro-Palestinian protesters burning our national flag in Melbourne on Sunday the 3rd of August. That event coincided with a disruptive, disgraceful and divisive rally across the Sydney Harbour Bridge, a rally where some protesters chanted genocidal slogans, displayed Hamas symbols and Nazi swastikas, waved flags of terrorist organisations and carried a photograph.
Senator Nampijinpa, could you please resume your seat? Senator McKim, on a point of order.
Yes, thank you, President. I asked for a ruling, please, on whether the senator who's wrapped in the national flag at the moment is contravening the standing order that prevents props. And I do want to make the point that if it's okay for Senator Nampijinpa to wrap herself in this flag, I would intend to wrap myself in a Palestinian flag and come into the chamber and exercise the same rights that Senator Nampijinpa is currently exercising.
Senator McKim, sorry, do you wish to respond on the point of order?
Point of order. Senator McKim chose to debate the issue rather than raise a point of order. And if we're not going to wrap ourselves in the national flag, I would ask that when you're considering your ruling, Deputy President, the flag is not a prop. It sits in our chamber right now. And so if we're going to mean it's ruled out of order over a senator's shoulder, it will have to be considering its stance in our chamber itself.
Senator, I did allow both points of order to stray into the debating point because I think this is clearly a sensitive issue, particularly on this particular day. I am going to refer this matter to the President because I think it does require consideration of the President. However, Senator Nampijinpa, in order not to set a precedent at this point, could I ask you please to finish your speech without the flag on your shoulders? And that way we do not— Senator McKenzie, I will address you directly. We do not want to set a precedent in this place that would have very unfortunate consequences for the future. And I think you know what I'm talking about there, Senator McKenzie. Senator Nampijinpa, you have the call.
Thank you, Acting President. So disappointing from the Greens, but also so typical. You can wear a kiffa in here. Perhaps you should remove that article from you whenever you walk through these chambers for the benefit of all Australians in this country. Yes, snark all you like. It's revolting. You don't love this country the way I do, certainly not like most Australians do. But you would rally along these terrorist organisations, the Greens would, as you have, and probably also stand beside the photograph of the Iran's oppressive dictator, as many of you Greens have.
Senator Nampijinpa.
Thank you. And the Greens certainly don't respect or acknowledge Indigenous Australians in this Senate. So the burning of our national flag on that wretched weekend wasn't the first time it's happened, and of course it won't be the last, but it is any wonder it took place A disrespect of our country and our values has been on the rise since the sordid events on the steps of the Sydney Opera House on the 9th of October. This government's supine response to the crisis of anti-Semitism gripping our nation has only emboldened an anti-Australian sentiment that is shared by the Greens. The protests at home and in other democratic nations have in common a national self-loathing and anti-Westernism that has been a hallmark of many protests since the late 1960s. The divisive voice referendum hasn't helped matters. What's more, our national flag isn't even afforded the respect it deserves by the Prime Minister. May we forever cherish the right to freedom of speech and wearing our Australian flag. But the burning of our national flag goes beyond free speech and political protest. It's an abuse of liberty. It's a rejection of the responsible citizenship. It's a display of historical ignorance. It's an expression of national ingratitude. It's performative disrespect with subversive characteristics. It's an act intended to sow division, disunity, national hatred and even violence. And no self-respecting nation, especially a country with Australia's achievements, should tolerate the burning of a national flag to enact legislation that criminalises the destruction or desecration of our national flag.